Hey everybody, welcome back to the Purple 8 Society YouTube channel. It's my place where I decode the ancient mysteries such as symbols, archetypes, mythology, esoteric symbols, the whole nine, religious symbols, symbols from the temple walls, all the ancient mysteries. And it's also the place where I'm helping you all to transition into more fourth dimensional thinking. It's like a mini university. We got playlists and all types of things from audiobooks to lectures, to music playlists. If you just want to zone out and jam out, all kinds. I've got a playlist called the Demystifying the Tarot, where we break down the symbols and the meaning of the tarot cards. And this video is actually a part of my series called Real Talk with AI, where I share my most profound conversations with ChatGPT to help us decode. And if you stay till the end, I'll give you some information on my $7 a month mystery school that takes place over on Substack. It's a really fun, it's a fun thing I'm doing over there. So I'd love you all to check it out. The question that I decided to pose to ChatGPT today is related to the Ankh. And the Ankh is an ancient Egyptian symbol. It has a circle up at the top or an oval at the top, which is connected to like an intersection or a cross. The circular, the rounded section is representative of the feminine essence, and the angles and the lines are representative of the masculine essence. And so I wanted to dive in to get a little bit more of the science behind this for you guys. We're going to decode it. So let's begin. So the prompt that I gave ChatGPT was, let's decode the Ankh. I want the history, the alchemical science, the mythology, and the uses of the symbol. This is one of my favorite kinds of questions because the Ankh sits at the crossroads of archaeology, religion, mythology, symbolism, psychology, and esoteric traditions. It's also a good example of how a single symbol can mean different things depending on whether you're looking through a historical, spiritual, or modern lens. I'll distinguish between what is well supported by evidence and what comes from later esoteric interpretations. The history of the Ankh. The Ankh is one of the oldest known sacred symbols in human civilization. It appears in Egypt by the early dynastic period around 3000 BCE and remained in continuous use for over 3,000 years. The Egyptian word for the symbol literally meant life, not symbolic life, not metaphorical life, simply life itself. Whenever Egyptians wrote the word life, they often used the Ankh hieroglyph. You'll notice that nearly every major deity is shown carrying one. Who carries the Ankh? Almost every important Egyptian deity. Examples include Osiris, Isis, Horus, Ra, Hathor, Anubis, and Thoth. And those were the Greek names. The actual Egyptian names: Osiris was Osar, Isis was Aset, Horus was Heru, Ra was Amun-Ra, Hathor was Horus was Heru, and then Hathor was Het-Heru. Anubis was Anubis, I think, but I can't remember. And then Thoth was Tahuti. So even though we're using Greek names, we're still talking about the Egyptian system. When these gods hold the Ankh to someone's nose, the image is generally interpreted as giving the breath of life, a recurring motif in Egyptian art. Archaeological meaning. Most Egyptologists agree the Ankh represented life, vitality, eternal life, divine life, and immortality. It commonly appears on temple walls, coffins, sarcophagi, jewelry, mirrors, amulets, and royal regalia. Nobody actually knows its original origin. This surprises many people. Despite centuries of study, scholars still debate what object originally inspired the Ankh. Several theories exist. Theory 1, the sandal strap. One traditional proposal is that the Ankh stylized a sandal strap. Few people today find this explanation satisfying because it doesn't account well for the symbol's profound religious importance. Theory 2, union of male and female. This is perhaps the most widespread esoteric interpretation. The loop represents the feminine, and the vertical shaft represents the masculine. Together, we're talking about creation, generation, and life itself. Interestingly, Egypt often expressed cosmic principles that complementary pair, through complementary pairs. So while this interpretation is popular in esoteric circles, it's not universally accepted by historians. Oh, I lost my place. Where'd it go? Okay, theory 3, sunrise. Some researchers suggest the loop equals the rising sun, the crossbar equals the horizon, and the shaft equals the path of light to Earth. This links the Ankh to solar rebirth. Theory 4, knot of Isis. Some scholars compare it with the Tayet, often called the knot of Isis, another protective symbol. The two resemble each other but are distinct symbols with different uses. Mythological meaning. Within Egyptian mythology, the Ankh became associated with creation, birth, resurrection, the afterlife, divine kingship, the yearly flooding of the Nile, and cosmic renewal. Notice the theme? Everything returns to life emerging from apparent death. The alchemical science, historical versus esoteric. Ancient Egyptian texts do not describe the Ankh using the later language of European alchemy. The connections below come from later Hermetic, occult, and symbolic traditions rather than direct ancient evidence. Union of opposites. The loop represents spirit, heaven, consciousness. The vertical represents matter, earth, and manifestation. Together, it's spirit descending into matter. Number 2, sulfur plus mercury. Western alchemists later describe reality as sulfur, mercury, salt. And many modern esoteric teachers compare the loop to mercury or spirit, the vertical to sulfur or the active force, and the intersection to salt, manifested life. This is an interpretive analogy, not an ancient Egyptian doctrine. Number 3, energy flow. Some modern esoteric systems liken the Ankh to a map of subtle energy. The loop equals the crown of the head, the crossbar equals shoulders or heart access, and the vertical the spine. In this view, it resembles a symbolic energy body rather than a literal anatomical diagram. The 4 parts. Many symbolic readers break it into 4 regions. The loop, which is spirit or soul, or the loop, spirit, soul, higher self, infinity, and heaven. The horizontal bar, which is the world of duality, of choice, balance in east and west. The vertical shaft, which is manifestation, embodiment, will, action, and earth. And the center, the point where heaven meets earth, human consciousness, and incarnation. Psychological meaning. If you enjoy thinking about symbols through the lens of the subconscious, the Ankh can be seen as an archetype for an archetype that repeatedly reinforces ideas of vitality, integration, continuity, renewal, and connection between visible and invisible life. Whether such symbols directly influence behavior depends on context and meaning. Research in psychology suggests symbols can prime thoughts and emotions, especially when they carry strong personal or cultural significance. But there's no scientific evidence that the Ankh itself has intrinsic supernatural power. Why so many Egyptian gods carry it? They're shown carrying life itself. The message is life belongs to the divine. Humans temporarily anticipate it. Why it is placed in tombs. Egyptians did not view death as an ending. Death was a doorway, a transition, another birth. The Ankh signified that the deceased hoped to continue into eternal life. Why modern occultists love the Ankh? Modern Hermetic, Rosicrucian, Thelemic, and New Age traditions often use the Ankh as a symbol of immortality, initiation, higher consciousness, life force, and spiritual awakening, and the union of spirit and matter. These meanings build on ancient symbolism while adding later philosophical frameworks. Practical uses today. People use the Ankh in different ways depending on their beliefs. Number 1, as jewelry symbolizing life or resilience. Number 2, as a reminder of the unity of body and spirit. Number 3, as a focal point for meditation. Number 4, in artwork exploring Egyptian mythology. Number 5, as an educational tool for studying hieroglyphs in ancient religion. Number 6, as an emblem in some Afrocentric and Kemetic spiritual traditions. And number 7, as a design motif representing continuity, rebirth, or ancestral connection. It compresses multiple ideas, life, breath, birth, renewal, mortality, and transcendence into a simple visual form. That density of meaning is one reason it has endured for thousands of years and why it continues to inspire both scholarly study and spiritual reflection. So the next prompt I gave and the adjoining question was, something interesting I noticed is that in the Rider-Waite decks, the Empress and the Emperor cards both carry them. To me, it seems to suggest that a wise leader of that nature is balanced in their internal feminine right and masculine left brain hemispheres, and maybe speaks to a healthy relationship with the opposite sex. What can you share? That's a thoughtful observation. One thing I'd add first is a small historical note. In the classic Rider-Waite tarot, more precisely the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, the Emperor and Empress do not actually hold ankhs. What they hold are orb and scepter regalia. However, the tops of some of the scepters, especially the Empresses, can look very much like an ankh, and many later decks intentionally replace the scepter with an actual ankh because the symbolic connection is so natural. Your interpretation is interesting because it reflects a broader symbolic pattern that appears across many traditions. The Emperor and Empress as a pair. Excuse me. The Emperor and Empress are often understood less as man and woman than as complementary principles. The Empress embodies qualities like creativity, fertility, nurturing, sensory experience, abundance, and growth. That's our right brain hemisphere, the creative feminine side. And then the left masculine side, the Emperor embodies structure, order, boundaries, authority, logic, and stability. Neither archetype is considered complete in isolation. A flourishing civilization needs both, and many modern Jungian and symbolic interpretations suggest that psychological maturity involves integrating both sets of qualities within oneself. Bingo. The intermarriage. Your thought about balancing masculine and feminine energies echoes what Carl Jung described through the concepts of the anima, the inner feminine in a man, and the animus, the inner masculine in a woman. Jung argued that psychological development involves becoming conscious of and integrating these inner counterparts rather than projecting them entirely onto other people. Many esoteric traditions express a similar idea using different language. Egyptian will be Isis and Osiris, or Aset and Asar. Taoism, which is yin and yang. Alchemy, which is king and queen. The Hindu Tantra, which is Shiva and Shakti, and Hermeticism, which is the sun and moon. The recurring theme is that wholeness arises through integration rather than dominance of one principle over the other. About the right and left brain. Your mention of the brain is worth exploring carefully. The popular idea that the left brain is logical and masculine, while the right brain is intuitive and feminine, is an oversimplification. And I get that, but I still use the oversimplification in the mystery school to when I got to break something down and I'm going stream of consciousness. Sometimes there's lack of better words, but I recognize that I do oversimplify that sometimes. Modern neuroscience shows that both hemispheres participate in almost every complex task. There are real differences in specialization. For example, language is often more left lateralized, and certain aspects of spatial processing are more right lateralized. But creativity, reason, emotion, and intuition all involve networks spanning both hemispheres. Interestingly, the symbolic intuition still has value. Many traditions point toward balancing qualities such as symbolic masculine, which would be structure, analysis, action, and discernment, and the symbolic feminine. To structure, it would be the feminine flow. To masculine analysis, it would be feminine intuition. To masculine action, it would be receptivity. To masculine discernment, the feminine would be compassion. And to masculine, the direction would be the feminine nurturing. These are psychological metaphors rather than maps of brain anatomy. The Ankh as the union of opposites. If we bring the Ankh back into the picture, one later esoteric reading is especially relevant. The Ankh can be seen as the meeting place of complementary forces, heaven and earth, spirit and matter, receptive and active principles, or masculine and feminine, or feminine and masculine, consciousness and unconsciousness, and potential and manifestation. In that framework, the symbol represents life generated through relationship and integration rather than through separation. Leadership through integration. Your observation about leadership also aligns with ideas found in leadership psychology. A mature leader often benefits from developing capacities associated with both archetypes. Vision without empathy can become tyranny. Compassion without structure can become chaos. Strength without care can become domination. And care without boundaries can become exhaustion. The emperor and empress together suggest that enduring leadership requires both order and generativity. Why this might resonate with you. From our conversations, I know you've been exploring symbols not merely as decorative motifs, but as compressed maps of consciousness and as tools for understanding the subconscious. That's a fruitful way to approach tarot, provided we distinguish between what the historical creators intended and the additional layers of meaning that readers and traditions have built over time. So even if Waite and Smith did not explicitly intend the emperor and empress to be holding ankhs, your symbolic reading, that healthy sovereignty comes from integrating complementary qualities. It's consistent with long-standing themes in Jungian psychology, alchemy, Hermetic philosophy, and many mythological traditions. It's less a claim about the original artwork and more an example of how symbols can continue to generate meaningful interpretations across cultures and eras. And that was the end of that. That was the end of this session. Thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, I did explain that if you're interested in learning more about my $7 a month mystery school, I'll tell you more about that. If you click the link in the description box or in my bio, you'll see that you'll be taken to my Substack page, and that's my website. That's where the Inner Forward Mystery School takes place. And what it is it's an audio podcast episode that you receive late every Sunday evening. And it is me decoding and breaking down somewhere between 1 to 2 hours worth of ancient symbols, mysteries, archetypes, symbols. We're breaking down ancient texts. We're breaking down literature. We're even integrating things that we see in pop culture entertainment, like music and series and comedy and movies. We also apply the symbols and the soul's journey that we notice and pick up as we're decoding the symbols to our personal life. We apply to our psychology, to our relationships, to our situations, and to career, to politics, to society at large, to culture and community. And it's just a fun place to be. We do it with the baseline of tarot, but just like all the people who are in my mystery school know, we don't do hocus pocus tarot. We do rational tarot over here. We're not reading anyone's minds, predicting future events. We're not conjuring up any energies or spirits, and we're not controlling or manipulating people or outcomes. We're just decoding so that you can know how to decode. It'll strengthen your ability to code spiritual mysteries. It'll help you decode synchronicities. It'll also help you to decode or to develop some pattern recognition so that you can see the common denominators that affect your world. So it's a lot of fun. It's a very authentic and real conversation. It can be entertaining because I'm a class clown for life, but I'm really dropping a lot of science over there. So if you're interested, it is $7 a month. Not only do you get the audio every week, but a part of that audio comes the book club, because if we're going to do spirit work, the reason why we do it is because we want to make the ego our bitch instead of being the ego's bitch. And the other thing, so the reason why the way that we do that is through a book club. Right now we're reading How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, which is just a fantastic book. And then I've also started incorporating, just this past Sunday or yesterday, I've started incorporating 5 really, really profound and thought-provoking shadow work questions based on the episode that week, so that throughout the week on your own time, you can be processing, re-listening to the audio whenever you want to, processing the audio and processing the question itself to help you go deeper and do a little bit of shadow work. I'm not a psychologist or therapist, so I'm not diagnosing anything, not hearing any of your private matters or anything. I'm just giving you a baseline of things to work with as prompts, like journaling prompts is what it is. And so it's a lot of fun. Check me out. Again, check the link in the description box or my bio and find out more about the $7 a month Inner Forward Mystery School happening on Substack. Make sure to subscribe to the Purple A Society YouTube channel. Leave me comments. That helps the channel to grow. I'm still a very new channel, but it does help to grow when I have comments of thoughts and questions and things that you'd like to ask. I'll be glad to answer those questions. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and thank you guys for tuning in and supporting. All right, bye-bye.